There are devotees in the audience from the East Coast and the West Coast and in between. So those of you from East Coast and West Coast, welcome. Those of you in between, welcome. And I was thinking on the way over here, there's other options. I met some devotees that are going to an annual festival that's held in Vrindavan, and there's an annual festival held in Gitanagari, and I'm sure there's other festivals in other places. So you're here because you want to be here, and I'm happy you're here. Our mission is to see together if we can move closer to becoming attached to Krishna, specifically attached to Krishna's holy name. So far, we've covered two topics that touched on many things. The first topic was the 7 excellences in chanting, which was just a review of Shikshastika 1. And we didn't get to the finish line, but we covered the Nartanavritti section and the Nishtha section, and we started peeking at the Bhava section, and we ran out of time. And some of the messages that were from that part 1 were carried over in part 2, and part 2 was chanting with quality, which is a bold statement, but it's simply the statement of Hari Bhakti Vilas, or our celebrated Acharya Sanatana Goswami and Gopal Bhatta Goswami, and the things that they had to say. And we're going to make reference again to some of the things that they had to say, because one of the things they had to say was, when chanting, to go from mediocrity to more quality, is as you're making the sound, as you're chanting the mantra, you're meditating on, absorbed in the meaning of that sound. Mantrartha haranam. If you remember that phrase. So this topic is chanting with respect requires having some sense of respect of what? So that's what the mantra is, or what the sound vibration is. So with respect, we're looking up to something, and that something, the more clearly identified that something is, the better the chances we're going to sustain that respect and not get deviated by the wandering mind. So there was a document that was supposed to have been circulated that has two terms. Adhara, that's Adhara, and Audinam, which are the two terms that Rupa Goswami uses, and they're different Sanskrit phrases that say the same thing, but two essential elements that help one get to the position where there's taste or ruchi for the chanting of the holy name. So Nectar of Instruction, text number 7, we'll be discussing that during this class. But respect. Now he Rupa Goswami, or at least probably, he has used the word adara, adarat, with the grammatical ending, adarat, to indicate how we should regard the holy name with respect. The way that Prabhupada has translated it is carefully chanting. Carefully. So different English translation, but that's the purpose is of this time together and the document that you received is to look from different angles at what adara means. What does respect for the holy name mean? Respect for anything. What does it mean? And not just, rubber stamp or cosmetic or complacently go through, but how to go beyond mediocrity or the position that we discussed a little bit in the morning class, still chanting, still reading, but barely changing, which may very well identify a number of us who've been chanting for some time, however long that time is, and doing the hearing and chanting, but not feeling the transformation that we understand should be happening, we wish could be happening, and we're kind of stuck or in a mediocrity path of bhakti. So how to move beyond it. That's our intention for these 3 sessions. Now, some of you may know that there's been an effort for some number of years now to gather people via social media that don't know anything about Krishna, bhakti. So a devotee and some people helping that devotee have come up with a brand. They call it Body, Mind, Spirit Festival. And one of the Body, Mind, Spirit Festival themes was this theme: respect, the fabric of relationships. So there's 4 parts of the main speaking, and then there's everything and everything and everything connected to that theme. But relationships are important to everyone, and people that don't know Krishna bhakti, they also we're social beings. We want to love and be loved. It's just part of who we are, and that doesn't always work out. So how to have relationships that work out? So a fundamental element is respect. There's the conventional sense of respect. Here's one, a Prabhupada saying in a room conversation in Rome: even if an enemy comes to your home, he should be offered respect. So that's pretty basic. And then there are persons who are beyond just us fellows, ladies and gentlemen. There are people that are very cultured, highly cultured people. They understand the function and the part of culture that respect plays. A nice example illustrated in this painting, on the right side, that's the blind Dhritarashtra. In the center, that's Vyasadeva seated on a tiger skin or a deer skin. And on the left side is Yudhishthira. Now Yudhishthira pays a visit to Dhritarashtra before the Kurukshetra battle. And when he comes before Dhritarashtra, although Yudhishthira knows all the skullduggery and horrible, at least sanctioning what Duryodhana did, everything that Duryodhana did went first to Dad. And Dad didn't say no. Well, sometimes he said no, but Dhritarashtra had a little fit, and so he became silent. Dhritarashtra is in knowledge of all of the bad things that Duryodhana did. And Yudhishthira knew it. And yet Yudhishthira, when coming before that person who had done so many attempted murder and many, many bad things, he offered him all respect. Now, cultured people will do that. Those persons that don't have no culture, they don't know that. The cultured people know that. A nice example from Chaitanya Charitamrita is shown in this image. The image is Keshava Kashmiri. He's called Kashmiri because he's from Kashmir. And he's called Keshava because that was his given name. And Keshava Kashmiri was what was known at the time as a Digvijay Pandit, which means he got his big bag full of knowledge and traveled around and would challenge people in debate and show his prowess in debate, defeat somebody else, and then he'd be a celebrity and then go to the next place and debate and debate. That was his thing. And he was an ardent worshipper of the goddess of learning, Saraswati. So much so that the goddess of learning, Saraswati, never let him down. So whenever he got in a debate and got into a hot spot, goddess Saraswati was there to help him. So he came to Navadvip. This is described in some length in Chaitanya Charitamrita. So I'll just tell the story quickly because it's a nice story. I can't refrain from all storytelling. Storytelling is nice. Does she like stories? She's restless. Okay. I don't blame her. So, when he came to Navadvip was one of those, it's like, a seat of, it was like Harvard or MIT. It's like, a seat of high learning. The whole place, well known for scholarship. And here comes the big Keshava Kashmiri looking for a boxing match. So they decided amongst themselves, let Nimai Pandit discuss with him, and if he defeats Nimai Pandit, we have second chance. And if Nimai Pandit defeats him, then, we're even celebrated more because he's just a kid, he's just a youngster. So as it happened one day, Keshava Kashmiri happened to pass by near the Ganga, and as they were passing near the Ganga, there was Nimai Pandit with his students. That's what's in the painting on the right side. And on the left side of the painting is Keshava Kashmiri with his entourage that were traveling with him. So Nimai Pandit knew very well that Keshava Kashmiri was very proud, and despite he was very proud, he offered him all respect and all the formalities that cultured people offer respect to an elder, learned person. So he said, I heard you're a big scholar and you're very good at poetry. Could you compose some poetry, a poem in honor of Mother Ganges? Behind them, that's Mother Ganges. Oh, sure, I can compose Sanskrit poetry, no problem. Spontaneously, he composed 100 verses in Sanskrit glorifying Mother Ganges. According to Chaitanya Charitamrita, blowing like the wind, just like non-stop. How's that? Did you like my poetry? And Nimai said, could you describe to us the qualities and the faults of your poetry? Well, all qualities and no faults. And Nimai Pandit said, may I ask you about verse number 64? What do you mean, verse number 64? Then Nimai Pandit recited back verse number 64, verbatim. And Keshava Kashmiri said, how don't you remember word for word verse number 64? And Nimai said, some people are gifted with speech, some people are gifted with memory. Can you tell me the qualities and the faults of verse number 64? Well, there's all qualities and no faults. And then Nimai pointed out the errors, grammatical errors and poetic rule errors and things that, a grammar student may know the grammatical errors, but not poetic composition errors. And Kesha Kashmiri was stunned. And unlike him, he was speechless. And as he was speechless, right behind him, Nimai Pandit's students started laughing. And he said, no, he's a great personality, don't laugh. Continuing to show him respect, knowing that he's just, puppy-wuppy, very proud fellow. So Keshava Kashmiri was tail between his legs. He was very embarrassed and he left. That night when he was asleep, the goddess Saraswati appeared to him in his dream and said, the reason I didn't give you the proper words to speak is the person who you were speaking to is my worshipable Lord. And I'm not going to give you the facility for contradicting and defeating my Lord. Rather, you should go to him tomorrow morning, fall at his feet, beg forgiveness, and become his student. And so he did. So that's a nice story. That behind the story, the reason for narrating it at all is what cultured people do. Even when they know somebody got a problem, personal problem or worse, they're respectful. It's this culture. Another nice example from Chaitanya Charitamrita, Ramachandra Puri. Ramachandra Puri was a godbrother of his spiritual master, Ishwara Puri, and Ramachandra Puri was an offender or a fault finder, put it that way. He found fault even with his guru, Madhavendra Puri. And it was known. He's like, this is a number one fault finder person. And when he came to Jagannath Puri, he was looking for fault, because that's what fault finders do. And he couldn't find any fault, so he invented some fault. The painting is showing there were some ants on the floor of Gambhira. And so he's pointing to the ants saying, aha, you eat too many sweets. That's why all these ants are running around. The comment, of course, is anyone that's been in India, there's ants here and there. Wherever you go, make the place clean. And sure enough, there's some ants that come again looking for whatever they're looking for. So, now it's not just Nimai Pandit, it's Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He offered him all respect, specifically with great attention. Now I'm going to spend a little bit more time on the principle of adharat or adarat, that is, respect for Scripture. There's a very nice reference I found, the author unknown, but here's the nice Sanskrit. And you see in highlighted letters, samyak adarat, which is translated as complete respect. And aharaha means daily, or regularly, or day after day, which is another one of the principles that is found in the teachings of, audinam means regularly, and in Patanjali Yoga system, that they have a different word, nairantariyam, something like that. So here's the translation. One who drinks, that's in between samyak and adarat, one who drinks day after day with complete regard through the bowl of his raised ears, the flowing honey called Ramayana, from the lotus mouth of Valmiki, that person leaves behind samsara, the endless material existence of suffering, birth, disease, old age, calamity, and death, and proceeds towards the eternal abode of Vishnu. So there's a quality. There's the hearing, as we're doing, hearing and chanting. Remember this, little hearing and chanting, but not much transformation, not much change. Not much is happening inside that it could be. So we're looking at this principle of respect because we're chanting every day, but somehow it's not having the transformation effect that we would like to see. And therefore, focus is going to this principle of adarat. Respect, complete regard. In that document, a PDF you should have received, I spent a fair amount of time going through different places where the word adara or adarat appears. And there's different shades of meaning. You'll see that document. But so here it's complete regard, respect, and so forth. There's reference to the same principle in hearing Srimad Bhagavatam. You see in colored letters, Adara. By respecting and attentively hearing the recitation of the transcendental qualities of the Supreme Lord, the husband of the goddess of fortune, one can remember his lotus feet. By respecting and attentively hearing. Therefore the theme, chanting with respect. So that's 12th canto, towards the end of the entire Srimad Bhagavatam. By respecting and attentively hearing the recitation of the transcendental qualities of the Supreme Lord. So here in a qualitative way, here regularly, and here with regard and respect. This is taken from Gita Mahatmya, the section of Padma Purana that deals with glorification of Bhagavad Gita. Here's the Sanskrit, you see, sa adarat, with great reverence and respect. One who, with respect and devotion, and according to scriptural regulations, makes a gift of this holy book, the Gita, such a person enjoys transcendental happiness. So there's benedictions or phala of the stuti, but there's a quality with respect and devotion. Then the negative, there's disrespect. So to understand something, you can understand what that something isn't. There's disrespect. Here's Jiva Goswami speaking or writing in Bhakti Sandarbha about the root cause of offense, aparad. The root cause of aparad is disrespect, anadarat. All varieties of aparads consist of anadara, disrespect, or the absence of respect, because the absence of respect is just a shade of disrespect. Supposing, for example, very simple, supposing someone comes to see you, and just ignore them. That's not, cultured people don't do that. It's disrespectful. So some acknowledgement, even if you're busy, some acknowledgement, please. But the absence of respect is a type of disrespect. So same when we're chanting, we're calling Krishna's name. Something sound is coming, but our attention, our adara, our respect is elsewhere. It's inattention while chanting the holy name, which we hear elsewhere that that's the 11th offense, or the offense that brings about all the other offenses. So that's what we're speaking about. That's why we're speaking about adara, or respect. The term disrespect, apa radha. Apa means that which drives away, and radha, which is different than radha, but radha is one's desired perfection. So that which drives away one's desired perfection is aparad. And anadara leads to aparad. Clear? I'll leave it on the screen so you can drink it in. Bring it in and be very clear. So what we want is respect for the name, with respect for Krishna, because we heard it's important to, while making the sound, while chanting the mantra, to meditate on, become aware of, immerse yourself in the meaning of the mantra. So with the meaning of the mantra, then there can be proper respect for the mantra. There's this phrase we heard already this morning, mantrartha chintanam, meditating on both the meaning and also the power and value. I'm repeating some points from this morning because it fits into this evening's discussion. Chanting with respect. And why should we have some respect for the chanting of the holy name? We heard this one. I like this one, so I'm repeating it. Rupa Goswami's Namastaka. Even liberated souls worship the holy name because now even Namabhas destroys all types of miseries, we heard. There's the word in the Sanskrit from Namastaka number 2. Tvam anadarad, that's the opposite. This is disrespect. If someone utters even with negligence anadarad, you destroy his severe material miseries. This is your mighty power. Even if one doesn't have the proper regard or respect, the name is very powerful. What to speak of if it's direct or with respect. That's the topic. He carries on, this is his own explanation. Your excellence is such that even if your name is chanted only once and without respect, that is to indicate something else, with these different categories of namabhas, joking, and so forth. The so forth is this hela namabhas, chanting neglectfully. Some of you are familiar, some of you may not be familiar. They're categories of namabhas. One of the places you can read about it is Harinam Chintamani. Harinam Chintamani goes into the anatomy of many things, including different categories of namabhas, as opposed to Shuddhanam. So it's nice, get your checklist and check out, am I chanting with Shuddhanam or namabhas? Generally it's namabhas, and it's one of these categories. Still, even without respect, or hela namabhas, all fearsome, the most fearsome sins, even the sinful thoughts. The power is there to do that. And then we heard this morning, it's the same, this other verse, mantrartha chintanam, same verse from Hari Bhakti Vilas. Meditate in addition to the power of the value, meditate on the meaning. We heard of the text written by Gopal One of the documents you should have received is a translation of more of his writing on this topic. If you're interested, you can read what Gopal Guru Goswami said about his explanation of Vyakhya about the Hare Krishna mantra and its meaning and so forth. Now these two terms that this evening's topic is about, this respect, largely comes from, it's inspired by Upadesha Amrita, Rupa Goswami's writing. This is text number 7. There you see in bold letters Adarad and Audinam. Anudinam. So Prabhupada's translation, carefully, Adarat, and every day, Audinam. So we're doing the everyday, most of us, and the carefully is where it needs some strength, or the Adarat. Now the verse is saying that although the taste of misri or rock candy, or sita is the word that's used in the first line, it's sita, the rock candy is sweet, it's concentrated sweet, but for one who has jaundice it tastes bitter. If anyone is, I had jaundice and I wanted to check it out. Sure enough, it tastes bitter. Sure enough, it tastes bitter. But I kept chewing it because I knew it was the remedy. And the jaundice went away and the sweet taste, the tongue could taste it instead of bitter. So, the holy name is like that. It is actually very sweet, but avidya covers the taste. So how to get rid of avidya? The best way to get rid of avidya is bhakti. Not just study lots of books, but bhakti, because bhakti gives rise to knowledge and detachment. And then it's not just a covering, it's the nature of the soul becomes awakened. Here's some other examples of this respect, or adara. In the painting, this is Gopakumar, and he had this natural respect for one Brahmin sadhu that he saw moving about here and there in Vrindavan. And he approached the Brahmin and requested the Brahmana for his mantra. And he gave the mantra. Madan Gopal mantra, the same Madan Gopal mantra that Lord Brahma received and that we received in disciplic succession, same. So he worshipped Madan Gopal and worshipped the mantra, and as a result, he went to the spiritual world and was embraced by Madan Gopal in a cowherd boy rasa. In this painting, this is Haridas Thakur holding beads and looking at Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in the assembly of Vaishnavas in Puri, and he's saying to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, you are living within a society of great, great brahmanas and aristocrats, but without fear or shame you adore or give respect to a lower class man like me. Now, adore is the word that Prabhupada used in his translation, but it's the Sanskrit is this adara. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu respected Haridas Thakur, not because of his birth or education or material qualification, his wealth, his position in society. He had respect for him, specifically in terms of his chanting. In Chaitanya Bhagavat, during Nimai Pandit's early days, he was a teacher, just a young fellow, but because he's the personality of Godhead and had the traits and characteristics of a very wonderful person, sometimes the Lord sat on the bank of the Ganges, sometimes he wandered the streets of Navadvip, whenever the residents saw the Lord, they would welcome him with great respect. You get the point. There's a couple more. It's part of culture. It's part of a person has character and refined character. They'll respect others naturally. And then comes transcendental respect for a transcendentalist. And one who is the object, in this case it's Chaitanya Mahaprabhu or Nimai Pandit, they're respecting him because he is of his character and quality. What to speak of the holy name? Which builds on the class from this morning. Mantrartha Chintan. From Jaiva Dharma, this is the last on this Adara topic. He writes, Adara, to give honor and adoration, sprouts from Gaurava, respect, which makes them interdependent. Bringing in another term, Gaurava. When someone accepts a trusted person as guru, Gaurava means the respect and emotion that manifests from such an attitude. This awed respect is synonymous with adara. Clear? As one should and naturally will have respect for Guru, one should and will naturally have respect for the holy name. And sometimes there's unsteadiness in both for different reasons. You know, it's not the object, it's the subject regarding the object. The difficulty is on this side. And that's where the fine-tuning is required. The audinam, anudinam, this is the other term used by Rupa Goswami in Nectar of Instruction, text number 7, an very important verse that concludes that the verses that are up to but not yet touching the Bhava Bhakti stage. So I'll assume most of us are not yet in the Bhava Bhakti stage, and we need to pay attention to how to get there. So therefore these two terms. Anudinam, every day, and with great respect. So here's an image of Patanjali Muni. You saw this one this morning. This is when he lived, mid-2nd century BC, so it's way before Mahaprabhu appeared and the 6 Goswamis after that. He's celebrated for the Yoga Sutras. Now those persons that are students of his, even today, Patanjali Yoga Sutras, these 23 verses are often referred to, even amongst Vaishnava circles, in its meditative absorption. And in the first 23, here's number 14. And there's 3 terms that we should become familiar with. Nairantarya, sounds like Nirantara. Nairantarya, same dhatu. So it means regularly. Practice, or it's a definition of what devotional practice is in the Ashtanga Yoga system, but it applies to any yoga system. Practice means it becomes firmly established when it has been cultivated Nairantarya, every day or regularly, uninterruptedly, that's how it's translated here, with respect, so that with respect is a dirgha kala, and reverence and devotion, prolonged period of time is dirgha kala, with respect. So all these terms are used by our Gaudiya Vaishnava Acharyas and used a source of them is Patanjali, and Patanjali didn't create something out of the air. It's just standard understanding. When in this being patient, it means that results may not come quickly. And for results to come, it's a bestowal from the Supreme, or the Nama Prabhu may bestow upon us whatever he wants to bestow. It's like we discussed this morning. You can't hurry Krishna. And when that enthusiasm becomes very dramatic, or the adara, or respect, becomes amplified, it can become greediness. But not the material greediness, but spiritual. With enthusiasm, respect, reaching higher standards. Instead of unsteady, steady. Instead of, in addition to steady, it becomes fixed. In addition to fixed, it becomes amplified. But it's all rooted in this phrase, adara. You with me? To go to higher stages of bhakti, respect is needed. When you're in higher stages of bhakti, respect is there. It just has a different name. And that different name that's known, it's in Rupa Goswami's writings, and others who write from Rupa Goswami's writings, lovyam, intense eagerness. Here is Rupa Goswami being cited, and also found in Padyavali. You see in red letters, lovyam. Pure devotional service cannot be had, even by pious activity in hundreds and thousands of lives. It can be attained only by paying one price, that is, intense greed, to obtain it. So it's important to understand the context that greed has a foundation, and that's adara. And as adara becomes very focused and amplified, it becomes greed. And that's how to achieve pure devotional service. And there isn't another method. If it is available somewhere, one must purchase it without delay. Same understanding, Rupa Goswami's Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. Lalasamayi means desiring some perfectional stage. If you remember, I'll remind you. What we heard in Hari Bhakti Vilas specifically is how to chant in such a way that you can achieve the perfectional stage. Japa Sampati. How to achieve the perfectional stage. Desiring that perfectional stage, or very eagerly desiring to go to one's natural position, one may come to the stage of perfection. Last slide. If one develops lovyam, or excessive eagerness for meeting and serving the Lord in a particular way, that is the price to enter into the kingdom of God. Otherwise, there's no material calculation for the value of the ticket by which one can enter the kingdom of God. The only price for such entrance is this lovyam, lalasamayi, or desire and great eagerness. The reason for going into this is, this is that section of Shikshastika 1 that we didn't get to, but where our bhakti can take us if we put the foundation principles in the right place and cultivate them carefully. So there's our topic for this evening. I selected 2 particular points because Rupa Goswami selects them. And that's this adarat, or chanting with very carefully, chanting with great respect, with proper regard, with the proper mood towards the name and the activity of chanting. And then cultivate it every day. Nairantarya, if you're a Patanjali follower, or the Rupa Goswami's terminology, every day, every day, every day. So let's go. I like his language. So let's go back to his language. It's a definition of practice. Abhyasa yoga yuktena, chetasananyagamino, celebrating verse. The how-to question, just keep practicing. And practicing in the right way. So here's what practice means. It becomes firmly established when it has been cultivated uninterruptedly, nairantarya, with respect, reverence and devotion, satkara. So he doesn't use adara, he uses satkara, respect, reverence and devotion. And it can be, the English translation can be whatever it is. For general audiences that may not particularly value the bells and whistles of having the Sanskrit terminology, they want to understand the principle. So it's something that's done every day for a prolonged period of time with great respect. I say, you have confidence it's going to get you there, get you to where you want to go. This adara or satkara, 3 things. Every day, prolonged period of time, with great respect, or with great confidence. It's going to take you to where you want to go. So, take shelter of the holy name, with confidence that you may be whatever you may be, tiny, insignificant, filled with mistakes and so forth, not very great personality, just a little speck. But you become attached to the holy name, and the holy name will carry you. You take shelter of the holy name. Just do that. Great respect, it's going to get you there. To Krishna's abode. Really nice, I'm going to just say one more story and then end. Brihat Bhagavatamrita is fantastic literature for those who like chanting, or those who are chanting and want to understand how to develop that chanting. He had such faith. He had such faith in the name, and he had such faith in his guru, that it carried him right to the spiritual world. He went through all kinds of very far-out experiences, but he kept going and kept going and kept going and kept going and kept going, and reached the spiritual world. So his faith and shelter taking in the mantra, and the gift of the mantra given by his guru, he expresses another part of Brihad Bhagavatamrita, like he went to Tapaloka. Where's Tapaloka? Tapaloka is in the upper planetary systems. So we're in this middle range, Bhumandala, earthly realm. Maharloka, Janaloka, Tapaloka. Brahmaloka, spiritual world. So he attained the spiritual world, but he made a little pit stop at Tapaloka. And in Tapaloka, what do they do in Tapaloka? It's renunciates only, and they just engage in meditation. And they were so absorbed in meditation, they didn't even acknowledge his presence because they were so absorbed in meditation. And then when they did a meditation break, hey, who are you? Where are you from? Why don't you join our meditation program? And he's just chanting his mantra. And he said, why are you chanting your mantra? The argument was, the purpose of your chanting of your mantra is you have a vision of the Supreme Person. But we have that vision of the Supreme Person all the time. Sign up, join the party. Because it's an experience within. So he tried it. And he liked it. But he couldn't stop his chanting his mantra because his reasoning was, I received this mantra, and unless I experience the fullness of the purpose of the mantra, I'd be guilty of ingratitude. Because my guru gave me this mantra and I can't stop. And receive the fruit of this mantra chanting, I would be ungrateful if I desisted and just went into meditation, like with these guys. Tapaloka. So he kept going. And he made it to the spiritual world besides Tapaloka. Because Tapaloka is a place within the material world. And the spiritual world is beyond the material world. And the chanting of the holy name can carry us to that place where we belong with Krishna. He somehow took a detour. Here we are. Any discussion? Ooh.
Hare Krishna. Sorry.
Fix the volume. Fix the volume.
Too loud?
No, yeah, he has a little control thing on his, sitting on his lap. He can fix it. Go ahead.
Thank you. Maharaj, you were explaining how you were in your slides. It was talking about how greed is transcendental greed is synonymous with this respect. There is a similar, and there was a similar slide. I apologize, I don't remember exactly what it was, but the emotion, spiritual emotion, I forget which emotion that was, that becomes manifest was the word from, I think, from the respect.
Go ahead.
And then it said, that emotion is the respect. And I was thinking about these 2 points, that it made me wonder, the idea of being synonymous. Something causes something else, and then the description is that it is that something else. And then I was juxtaposing that concept with another slide, which you commented on, which was that disrespect leads to aparad.
Yes.
And so, i.e., there's a distinction between disrespect and aparad.
Yes.
So I was just curious, is my question clear?
Yeah. By the way, he's a lawyer. And definitions are very important. Not only in law, but in spiritual life. Definitions, having clarity of this is this and that's that. It's important. So I thank you for the question. I forget when. It might have been this morning. There was a question about inattention where it's abhas and inattention where it's aparad. Which is not exactly what your question is, but it's something similar to your question. It's related to your question. So my simple answer was, we're in the stage of namabhas. We're not at Shuddhanam stage. So there's some distraction and other indirect ways of experiencing chanting. It's not Shuddhanam yet. So it's offense if it's just fine, just keep doing like that. Just keep doing like that. Just keep doing like that. then it becomes, the disrespect becomes offense. But supposing I know that being distracted and other forms of namabhas can lead to offense. It can lead to offense. So I want to check that. So intention, the answer I gave this morning was, intention is everything. And intention then has to, action follows. The horse pulls the cart. Intention must be followed by application of that intention. I mean, it's like we're coming here for the Festival of Holy Name. That is, the explicitly stated fourth time, to develop our attachment for Krishna stronger, which means weakening the attachment for other than Krishna. So the distraction, back to your question, distraction can lead to, but it doesn't necessarily, can lead to, the disrespect can lead to an offense. But it can also be a springboard to getting closer to respect. Now you wove that into what's on the screen here. This is Bhaktivinoda Thakur from Bhakti Loka. Another name for greed, volume, in relation to Krishna is adara, respect. So what I meant to say or explain is the immature stage, the less than mature stage is respect. And as that respect amplifies and becomes heightened and intensified, it becomes. It's like, a tulsi is A. A tulsi is a seed. B. Tulsi is the seed that's planted and sprouts and two little leaves come out. C. A tulsi is when not only just two little leaves come out, but a whole bunch of leaves come out. That's a tulsi. Or D. When it's the tulsi produces flowers, manjaris. And then whatever the next letter is, E. It becomes another seed on top of the tulsi plant, or all of the above. So a tulsi is all of them at different stages. So my point is, my understanding of this point is, the adara, which we're doing to some degree, otherwise we wouldn't be here. We'd off watching fireworks somewhere. We're here because there's some respect, but it needs to be amplified. And that's the intention of this evening class, is to draw away from other stuff and bring attention and respect from the disrespect to respect. So then that the unwanted part becomes anartha-nivritti, the unwanted part becomes slackened, and the wanted part becomes strengthened. Therefore, chanting with respect is the topic. Does that respond? More, and there's probably some refinements. Okay. Okay. Subal's a musician, he's not a lawyer.
I don't mind about definitions. Srila Swami, in this principle of respect, I remember a very impactful instruction that you gave me one time in terms of respect. You say that for our temples to progress, you need to establish a culture of respect.
Yeah.
And remember that you were emphasizing the importance of Vaishnava etiquette, the application, the learning, the application, the embracing Vaishnava etiquette. And also thinking of the Shrushashoshadhananasya verse that Syam Mahat Sevaya Vipra, that by serving the devotees, Vasudeva Kataruchi, we get a taste. We can come to a stage of respect for the transcendental sound. Would you say, or
You're
is
doing a
it
great
correct,
job. The frame of your question is fantastic. Thank you.
will be important for come to there, or the principle of serving the devotees with respect and with care will bring us, is much easier to bring us to this stage,
Yeah.
like Gopal, what is it? Gopakumar
Gopakumar.
coming to the stage is because of my guru, is because
Yeah,
I have that relationship, that I have that type of
And
respect.
it has expanding concentric circles going out in terms of how he deals with everybody and everything. Yes. The answer to your question is yes. Would you like to hear something nice? You sure? There are a few devotees in this room that have the idea that we should have a little seminar on Vaishnava etiquette and invite devotees from all around, all around to come and participate. And so far, there's one additional speaker, Mahatma Prabhu, who has agreed, at least in principle, and we have a date identified. He doesn't, it's like too far away for him to, he penciled it into his calendar. Let's see what happens. But, there's some idea to have such a seminar. And, right on topic, the topic that you brought up, for us to have communities starts with a culture of respect. And so that's an essence of Vaishnava etiquette. Or say it the flip side, without Vaishnava etiquette, it's chaos. It's cat and dog fight. And, somebody in the hot seat at the top having to sort out cat and dog fights. Or, even just petty squabbles. And it goes on. The cure is, it's you hit it. Culture of respect. We build our communities on the basis of respect. Any relationship, communities, or one person, another person, or husband and wife, or any anyone. Without respect, it's chaos. You don't have a relationship. Or, because same message to this body, mind, spirit group is the fabric of any relationship. Respect. It's a nice topic. Nice topic. Anyone else? Oh.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Thank you very much for the fantastic class on two most fundamental qualities, improving factors. Thank you so much for that. There was one slide on which it is mentioned that which in a way goes in opposite direction of Adara. It says that there is so much power in your name that if somebody utters it even once with aparad, yes, that's the one. Maharaj, I have two questions. First question is, how to understand this statement as a whole?
Which one?
This one.
How to understand it as a whole?
Yes.
Well, could you expand your question, because I don't understand your question?
The last part of it, it says, jokingly and so forth, it completely destroys the most fearsome of sins and even sinful thoughts. And in my personal understanding, I have not, I don't think it happens with me, at least, that, I have chanted name even once, and that too without respect. And I'm rid of all sins and even sinful
Well,
thoughts.
we had this discussion earlier. Maybe you weren't here or you fell asleep or something. Namabhas, because this is just a repeat of something we saw this morning. You know, Namastaka number 2 from Rupa Goswami. Namabhas has the power to eradicate the reactions of sins. So if someone is experiencing some difficulty, we all experience difficulty, we should understand philosophically, it's not prarabdha karma. Because prarabdha karma is wiped out by namabhas, by this. Now, even sinful thoughts, that's on this more subtle plane, but the potency, it's like, you know, this morning, the fair amount of clouds in the sky, but light was coming through. So that's like namabhas, the light of the sun. It's not night. So the potency is there for the darkness of night to be dispelled. Now, is it possible for sinful thoughts to creep in? Of course. But there's a potency to dispel it. Now that's different than saying there's a potency to dispel sins. They're dispelled. However, tendencies may still remain. Yes? So, that was one of the first questions in the morning session. You know, just even once, then you go back to the spiritual world? No. You just once, and namabhas clears it. Then supposing somebody goes out and does some more sinful stuff, then they're responsible for the karma of the sinful stuff. So that's just a fact. Just, you know, you can understand it or not understand it, it's a fact. Prarabdha karma is wiped out. New stuff can happen because tendency remains. And one's submission and participation in the act of submission can be withdrawn. And one can get covered up again with karma. Okay?
I have a follow-up question on that, if that is okay.
It's okay. I expected it.
Thank you, Maharaj. It is on the same line. My first question was how to understand it. My second question is how to realize it.
Oh, keep chanting, Prabhu.
But then
This is the how-to question. You heard my answer to the how-to question. The standard sadhu sangha. And what happens in sadhu sangha? Bhajana kriya. What happens in bhajana kriya? Anartha vritti. Abhyasa. That's, you know, let's go to Patanjali and we'll find out what does abhyasa mean? How does it become firmly rooted? So, you know, you have the answer to your question. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Put your hand up again. Here comes the microphone.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, I have three small questions.
3 small questions.
If that is okay.
My experience is her questions aren't so small. She's very humble, though.
Should
We
I?
give her credit for that. Go ahead.
So Maharaj, in Gopakumar's story, we always see that picture, and that is very fascinating when Krishna is embracing Gopakumar. So it's just a curiosity question. First one is, like, did Gopakumar go in his spiritual body?
Yes,
Or because he started from the material world.
that's right. But he went to the spiritual world.
Because we didn't hear any description of his going into spiritual
Yeah,
body.
it's there. Just read it again. He passes through all those places and gets there. Next, middle question.
So the next question is like dutiful application or dutiful following of instruction sustains on what? Because it feels like only dutiful following of instruction is not sustainable for a long time.
Yes, that's right. Mode of goodness gets interrupted by the other modes sometimes. So sustainable means when it's Shuddha. So how do you get to the Shuddha platform? That's the same how-to question. So yes, duty, here's a teaching I like. Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, duty, love are not on the same platform. Duty is on the material, and love is on the spiritual.
Just keep practicing and
Yeah, there's how-to, yeah.
The last question, Maharaj, that in this material world we see that, just speaking about myself, like we develop greed for something which we have seen, like people have reached to some level or materially.
Yes,
So we
generally.
develop greed for that level or that position or that, acquiring that possession or something. But in spiritual instructions, why don't we develop greed? Is that because of the lack of contemporary or relatable examples
Well,
sufficient?
no, it's just we're attached to the temporary. Now, one of the topics that came up Wednesday evening, that was 2 evenings, yesterday evening, was self-centeredness. When Krishna is at the center, then it's real. And is it possible? The answer is yes. Is it possible that someone can feel a strong greediness for spiritual attainment and they're at the center, not Krishna is at the center? Yes. And my experience is with people that are like that, they don't see it. You can shine not just a flashlight, a spotlight on it, and they don't see it. Because they're at the center. And Krishna is everything for them. But Krishna isn't everything for them. They're at the center. Is it possible? Yes. Now what's going to happen to such a person? Well, Krishna has his way of dealing with such persons. He can neglect them, he can smash them on the head, he can do whatever he wants. In a way that will help that person.
Thank you, sir.
But Krishna needs to be at the center. That's the starting point. And some persons don't get it. They're at the center. And they don't get it. It's sad, but true. Yes, behind you.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. I have a question about yesterday's one of the slides you had. Bhaktivinoda Thakur Bhajana Rahasya. It says there that we should remember affectionately the meaning of the holy name. Would you elaborate the affectionate
Yeah.
part?
We're going to, that's going to be front and center tomorrow. But I'll say it because you're asking it, because you're a senior Vaishnavi, I'll answer it. But just very quickly, everything, Priti, there she is. You know Priti? Raise your hand. She's got it. She didn't want to raise her hand, but I wanted her to raise her hand. So when there's a little video clip of Prabhupada speaking on this topic, but the topic is, it's with love. And love means Krishna is everything. Krishna is at the center, and I'm in the relationship with Krishna, but Krishna is clearly at the center. It's all about Krishna in the center. And then with love, something is offered. So, you'll be here tomorrow? Okay, so I'll think of you when we're covering that little section. And we have 6 minutes to go.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. I just want to check, like Patanjali Yoga Sutra, which you mentioned, is same as in Bhakti Sandarbha. Earlier we heard from you, Anuvrattir Asakrit Upadeshat.
Say slowly, please.
So earlier, like in Sandarbha's classes, you mentioned one quote about Anuvrattir Asakrit Upadeshat.
I don't recall. So what's your point?
So, like that is also meaning like repetitively doing the practice of something. So, just want to check, like.
Your question is absolutely unclear to me. Why don't you just send me a little note so I can understand what your question is, and then I can respond to your question, because
Sure.
It's not clear right in front of you. Prabhu, did you have your hand up? Oh, okay.
The earlier discussions were talking about primary intention and secondary intention. Primary being having the goal to develop attachment to Krishna.
Yes.
And then secondary being like giving up of fear and
Other things.
other things. So when I was hearing the Shikshashtikam verse, Cheto Darpanamarjanam, I felt that is also secondary, like cleaning of the heart or getting rid of material attachments. That also felt like a secondary because...
Yes, that's correct. Anarjana vritti is secondary in general, because eradication of unwanted things is secondary. But to get to the primary, the secondary, you have to clean up the house before you can bring Krishna in.
So then the Shikshashtikam verse, it's just like a prelude or wanting to attract, to develop attachment to Krishna, but that's not the goal. Like cleaning the heart, meaning it's also secondary is what I'm...
Yeah, but it depends on why you want to make your house clean. Mode of goodness is I don't like it when it's dirty. I feel uncomfortable when it's dirty, so I like to keep it clean. And that's me. And then I want to make this place so attractive that Krishna will want to come. He'll come when the place is, we discussed this. Krishna appears in the mind of Vasudeva because he's Vasudeva. His consciousness is completely pure. So Vasudeva becomes the son of Vasudeva. Krishna appears when the place is clean. So then the intention behind makes all the difference. Same as my response to Atmanivedana's question. The intention behind is everything. Yesterday, the morning class, I'm inattentive. Do I want to become attentive? Why do I want to become attentive? And if the bhakti principle is at the front, then it's not cosmetic, or it's not, now you see it, now you don't. Now I'm attentive, now I'm inattentive. So bhakti makes something permanent because there's shelter. The shelter is the supreme pure. That's the bhakti principle. So that's the primary. And secondary will follow. So that the secondary is mentioned in the anartha vritti stage, no problem, because it'll help you get to the primary. Okay. We have 2 minutes. And Atmanivedan is waving his arms again.
So you were talking, Maharaj, about the principle that should be followed of offering respect even to one's enemy. And you showed the slide of, and discussed how Lord Chaitanya was even offering respect to Ramachandra Puri, who we understand to be like the worst of the fault finders.
Yes.
My personal understanding is that this is an important principle to embrace, and challenging to do that. And yet, it should be applied according to time, place, and circumstance.
Yes.
With one's intelligence, not just like, yeah. And so I guess my question, based on that, I think related to that last point, that it may be applied in different ways. I'm curious in considering how Lord Chaitanya offered respect to Ramachandra Puri, and yet he was I guess we could say he's kind of the worst of the worst, and yet we also hear about I think Bhakti Siddhanta saying that if there's a snake, you kill it. So I was just curious if you could comment, Maharaj.
Sure. No, Ramchandra Puri wasn't a snake. Besides, in social structure, he is the god brother of his guru. And between his guru and the god brother of guru, both were disciples of the same spiritual master. One embraced him and the other rejected him. He rejected him. Get out of here. I don't want to see your face. Go anywhere you want to go. Don't come before me ever again. It was like, phew, that's heavy. That's heavy. And from a person in the position of Madhavendra Puri to say such a thing. If I were to see your face when I would die, I'd be ruined. I don't want to see your face. Whew, that's heavy. And he still didn't give up his fault finding. He was, he was attached to that fault finding program. So one could say, yeah, it's a snake. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, offered him respect, and it didn't blow up into some scene, because after some time he left, because he went to find another place to go find fault with. But it's a teaching by example, and example has to conform with time, place, and circumstance. So we don't always know in this circumstance what's appropriate, in that circumstance what's appropriate. We don't have refined intelligence. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was teaching in principle. When in doubt, be respectful. And then respect can be shown in, by shaking a stick too. Because that may be what is best for the person, but you have to have adhikar to know when to do this and when to do that. With respect, because it's for the interest that Krishna will be pleased, and this person may be able to give up such a tendency and they see a stick. So, takes intelligence and spiritual capacity. So when in doubt, take the high road.
Thank you.
Okay. Srila Prabhupada ki. Go ahead. You want the microphone?
The organizers are requesting for the new sponsors to come ahead. Chintamani Mataji, Rachna Hampi Mataji, Badanya Mataji, and Shama Sakhi Mataji or Yashodanandan Prabhu. If you're here, please come, Maharaj. Please come and receive Mahaprasadam.